Hi, this is Marcus Holmes, and I'm that blended family guy. One of my missions in life is to inspire, bring hope, and educate blended families, patchwork families, or repurposed families. You sum all that up in one phrase, I'm here to take blended families from just surviving to overwhelmingly thriving. What your blended family guy does is engage in deep, thought-provoking discussions that raise your blended family IQ. As a matter of fact, check this out. Hello, this is Marcus Holmes, the blended family guy, along with my amazing wife, Crystal Holmes. We're here at Grace Church, and we'll be speaking today with Pastor Brett Jones. We're speaking on a very, I think, profound subject, a subject that is so necessary, but the market is, I think, sometimes so vacant in being able to address some of these issues. And the issues are talking about the blended family. All right, so I know that there's a lot of families across the world, whether they're called blended families or patchwork families or repurposed families, that are on the brink of divorce, that husband or the wife, they've just about given up hope that they can make it, because that blended family dynamic is very hard to manage. Me and my wife, we have a 23-year-old daughter that I was blessed enough when me and Chris married over 15 years ago, that we had the opportunity, or I had the opportunity to take on a great responsibility. She was 7 at the time. And we went through a lot of struggle, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, but we experienced ultimately victory. And we want blended families across the world to be able to have that victory and share in that victory. So right now, today, we have the awesome opportunity to have somebody with some great sage wisdom in Pastor Brett. We're going to be asking him some very, very deep questions. These aren't surface level questions. These are questions that a lot of the people from our Connect group, and we'll get into that later, from our church have asked. These are questions that we sometimes still need help on and coaching from. So we're going to get right into it. It's going to be awesome. So again, we look for you on social media to respond to the questions, whether it's on YouTube or Periscope or Twitter or Facebook. We're looking for some responses on these questions. All right, thanks again. We're going to get right to it. And Pastor Brett, again, thank you.
Thank you for having me, Marcus, and thank you, Crystal, for letting me be a part of it. Forgive my voice and a little bit of coughing here coming out of a little bit of a cold time, but as long as you can hear me. I hear me well. It sounds like I've got two microphones or speakers in my ears, so it's all ringing. So if I'm screaming, it's not because I'm upset. So
you're fine, sir.
Cool. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. This is a great chance for me to be able to speak and have the words continue to go and go and go and go because of the impact of media. So that's Absolutely. Great. Let's get to it. I'm excited.
All right. Well, we'll get right to it. In your definition, Pastor Brett, what is your definition of a blended family?
I guess because I see so many things, pardon me, visually, I think of the cloth that my grandmother kept all the time, and then my mom later kept all the time when they were patching jeans and clothing and different things. They had a closet that had this circular holder, and they would have bolts of cloth in there. And they would go in there and they would pull these things out, and they would take whatever they were trying to make work, and they began to cut things that don't normally go together and to try to make them go together. And so I thought about a blended family is some irregular pieces of humanity, cloth, that don't have the same pattern and may not be made out of the same material, now are put into the same garment. And they have to be sewn together in a way that they're going to fit. It has to fit. It has to feel right. It has to breathe, all the things that the analogy of clothing and cloth. So I think a blended family, it's not just saying mine, yours, and ours.
Right.
because
That's huge.
those mine,
huge.
yours, and ours are really people. And whenever you start identifying people as objects, they lose their humanity. So I see the blended family as, and boy, there's thousands of them that come in the doors of our church, and I can almost spot some of them as they come in, because you have this beautiful blue material of this family, and then there's this glaring orange, belligerent looking child coming down the with them, and and so I see all this cloth trying to be fit together, and
That's good.
That's good.
is it called pinking shears that have the jagged edges?
Jagged edges.
So Mom would always use those pinking shears because she said that'll keep it from fraying. And kind of in my mind, I see the Spirit using pinking shears on some of us, and that ends up giving you a rough, jagged edge. But
It's good stuff.
It's what keeps you from unraveling and falling apart. And so a blended family is it's an organism, but it's made by God. I mean, if God didn't want it, He could have just said, "Okay, well, that's it." If it's a failure, then we'll end this failure with death and it's all over. He didn't want that, so He gave us the grace to be able to do it. And so that's a real long answer.
That's a great answer.
But a blended family is, we've got to get all these different cloths to come together to make a functioning garment that everybody can wear.
That is awesome. I hope you're taking notes out there. Amazing, very insightful answer. The next question, Pastor Brad, this is another one. If you were counseling a couple about to get married, where one of the people already has children from a previous relationship, what would be your top 3 things to share with them as they prepare for marriage?
Well, there's no way to get a person into a marriage without getting all the people that person has. So you don't. If I'm going into a marriage and I'm going to marry this woman, I'm a foolish man if I think all I get out of this marriage is that woman.
That's right.
I don't. I get that woman, and I get everything in her family. Everything that happens. Same with a woman marrying a man. And some people call it baggage. That's a really harsh thing, because that's sure not what God called it. God called it a soul. And what God is doing with that is saying, if you're going to get into a marriage, you need to know that's the count the cost. You don't build the house without first counting the cost. So if we're going to build a home, we need to count the cost. What is it going to cost to take these 2 families, along with the exes that won't be in? So now we're moving into this house, 2 families, and we have to stay in relationship with the exes that are out of this. And we have to know going in that if Joe loves Susan, he gets everyone connected to Susan. And if Susan loves Joe, she gets everyone connected too. There's no way to love a woman completely if you don't love her children.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely.
There's no way. And there are people that believe that. I'm going to marry this man, but his kids, they give me the willies.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, you're going to have a tough go of it. Because once a child is born, that child is forever in that person's life.
Absolutely.
And they can't get rid of that. They can't make that go away. So several things that I have in my mind. Top 3 things. Number 1, make sure you genuinely care about the children of your potential spouse. So whenever someone's dating, you have to genuinely care. That means whenever you're going to spend time together and you sit down at dinner, you have to. And now it's hard with the kids doing this right here, or they've got their attitude, they got their stuff going. You have to genuinely love these people. Now, how deep? Well, you don't know them yet. You're in love with her.
Great advice.
You're in love with her. You know how much you love her, but she's got 3 little hers and hims, and you don't know how much, and you don't know how much they're going to give you, and you don't know what bombs have been planted in their head.
This is good.
By her ex.
This is good.
About you. So it's not that I'm saying you're going to be the best buddies of it all, but number 1, you have to look at that and say, okay, I genuinely care about this child. I genuinely care. Number two, you have to look at it and know that your spouse is going to be blind to some of the things that you're not blind to. His children are going to have bumps and stuff and things, and he's going to call it personality quirks, and you're going to call it, no, that's out of control kid. That's a jacked up kid. What that is.
Right, right.
And he's going to say, no, she's not jacked up. She just always does that. And then you're going to be going, no, that's jacked up. And you need to know going in, you have to be willing to deal with it. Now, because they can't divorce that kid. That kid's there. That child's going to be there. And number three and last is you cannot compete with the other spouse at the other address. So you can't out daddy, even if he's a jerk, you can't out daddy at the other address by buying your way in or somehow trying to win the favor. You can't out mommy a mommy somewhere because when you do that, then you've created a competition. In fact, there was even a movie some time back where a stepdad and a real dad are competing. I saw the trailer for it.
The latest Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg movie.
I didn't see the movie. I saw the trailer, but the trailer lets you know there's two of them trying to, and both of them in the little trailer forgot what it's really about. It was about Johnny.
Yeah.
And if we're not careful, we can make it about I'm not going to lose this battle, and we forget that there's somebody else there. You can't. Don't try to compete with a step anyone. You can't. That would be a recipe for disaster. So that's a longer answer to what about that person looking into that. You need to know going in those three things are there, and you've got to deal with it.
Thanks for tuning in for part 1 of our talk with Pastor Brett. Join us for part 2 as Pastor Brett talks about what should lead blended families on their journey and some more pitfalls to avoid.
Can't control them. I can control how I respond to them, and find. So you got to find the things that you can celebrate, because if I can give you some W's in the column, then later on, when I need to talk to you, straighter, you know I'm on your team.
Join the discussion by going to marcusholmes.com or check us out on our social media.